Hi, Algebra kids. This is Mrs. Oberai, and you're seeing my laptop right now and my three children. I'm going to take you on a tour of the Algebra 1 McGraw-Hill student portal. There's another tour of just my website on a different link, and you also need to watch that this year. So the first thing we should do is open up a browser. I'm going to open up Chrome. It works really well with McGraw. You need to be bookmarking McGraw-Hill Student Portal. You may have already done that last year, depending on the level of math you were in and what teacher you had. I'm just going to take you there by going to the Lindero Canyon Middle School website first, because certainly you should have that bookmarked at this point. Now let's go to Popular, and let's go to Teacher Directory and Web Pages, and we're going to go to My Web Page this way. And again, you should bookmark my webpage. So it's alphabetical by last name. Here I am. If you click on your teacher's name, I'm sure you already know this, you'll get a quick little biography about your teacher. This is an email, but this open little book will get you to your teacher's website. I'm going to click on that, and here it is, Mrs. Soberai. And then you'll also need to click on another link right at the top. It says click on this link, and you'll be at my homepage. And there I am. It's at teacherweb.com, by the way. So sometimes when the district website is down or Lindero's website is down, know that you should have bookmarked this separately so you go there directly. And often when their website is down, my website is generally always working. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go on the left side to Connect Ed. Again, you don't need to do any of this if you already bookmarked Connect Ed. Although on my website, when you go to Connect Ed, which is the McGraw-Hill Student Portal, it tells you how to do the self-checks. We're going to talk about that in the tour. It tells you how to do the chapter tests and standardized test practices online. And it also, and I'm going to click on this right now, I put an explanation of why, generally speaking, you need to do these for every lesson. So I'm going to click on that. It's going to be a PDF, and it's why do we do McGraw-Hill self-checks, and it explains to you and your parents what the reasoning is for doing them on a daily basis. And by the way, not only do they improve your understanding, but they improve your grade as long as you keep up with them. Okay, so finally, here is the McGraw-Hill student link. I'm going to click on that. And now you should bookmark Connect Ed. I'm going to change this to a different student that I've got all set up to do this video. But you would right now be putting in your login, your username and password that you received in class. I'm going to log in. This student, this pretend student, is going to have all the books that I teach out of. But yours will only have Algebra 1, and so I'm going to click on Algebra 1. So again, if you used the McGraw-Hill portal last year, this is going to be very familiar, except now it obviously says Algebra 1. First thing we're going to do is go to Menu. Actually, no, we're not going to do that first. I apologize. We're going to go to the ebook that you should be familiar with, and I'm going to click on ebook. You received your book from the library, and it's big and it's heavy, and it's going to stay home the entire year. Know that you've always got your book with you just by the virtual book online, the ebook online. I'm sure you know how to open the table of contents, but I'm going to do that right now. And I'm going to go expressions and equations. That's our first chapter, lesson 1. And there's your book online. So I'm going to click out of that. By the way, yes, I am going to leave that. By the way, you also will have a book inside your desk this year, because we were lucky enough to get enough books to have at school. So you don't need to be going online in class, because you'll have the book in your, the hard copy of the book in your desk. Okay, so now I'm going to go to Menu, which is normally where you go, and the other normal place you go is Resources. The first thing I always do when I go to Resources, you don't have to, is I go to 48, because I like to have everything open that I can possibly see. So this is still in Chapter 8, so let's move it to your first chapter, expressions in chapter overview. The reason I'm staying in chapter overview right now is one of the first things you'll do on McGraw Hill is you'll go to the chapter overview and you'll click on the word check and you'll get something called the chapter readiness quiz. And I'm going to open that, and it's an online readiness quiz. And you can see it's about fractions, it's about do you understand perimeter. It's a few things that you need to know before you go headlong into the chapter. There's 10 of them. You do need to do these for every chapter. I will let you know when you need to do them. And let's pretend that I think I've done it all, so I'm going to hit check it on the bottom. It says you have answered questions. Do you still want to submit? Let's say yes, just to see what happens. And I get a 0 out of 10. Here's where the chapter readiness quizzes go in your grade. They go in the assessment grade. They are 10 points, 1 for each question or 1 for each percentage point. I round up to the next percent when it's uneven. So let's say it says that you got an 87.8%. You would get 8.8 out of 10 points, just so you know. We scored nothing correctly, and so we're not going to submit that. We're going to go down and try again. So this time I'm going to try again, and this time I guess I'm just going to answer one question. Find the perimeter of the parallelogram below. We know that we double each one, so we get 24, and then we have 24 plus 16, and so the answer should be D. If I don't know the answer, there's a little hint here, and it gives us how to do it, and I'm going to check it. It's going to still tell me I have unanswered questions, but I'm just showing you that now I've got a score of 10%. So now I would get 1 out of 10 points, but again, you're not going to submit it unless you get at least 80%. You'll just keep trying. But now let's say I do want to submit it. So now I'm going to put in my full name, Joe Cool. I'm going to put in my email address, and I'm just putting in a bunch of X's, but it should be your Lindero student email all the way to .org. And then email results. This is really and critically important. Look as I put the M in. I've done this so many times that my computer, the first time you put it in, it saves it. So if you put it in the wrong time, the first time, it'll always go to the wrong thing, and basically it ends up in internet limbo. So please, we had a huge issue last year with students saying, oh no, I submitted it, but they spelled my name wrong, or they spelled LVUSD wrong, or they forgot at lvusd.org. And so it's MSOBIERAJ at lvusd.org. And then you hit send mail, and it'll say your results have been sent, but it'll say that even if you typed it wrong. So please understand, it's great to see this in the top left-hand corner, but this is what's really important. Okay, so we sent it. Okay, and by the way, if you hit it again, it'll send it again and again and again, so please don't do that, because I get about 1,000 emails a day. I'm actually going to probably change the send email results to. I'm probably going to change it to a separate email address this year. I'm going to create a Gmail address so that I keep them all in one folder. I'll let you know that in class. Okay, I'm going to get out of that. I'm still in expressions, chapter overview. I'm going to go to all resources. And there are some other things here. There's a chapter animation at the beginning. There's lots of things there you can click on. Okay, so now let's go to an actual lesson like order of operations 1-2. Okay, so let's hit check again. So every lesson has one of these checks. It's a self-check quiz. Now, the self-check quizzes are only 5 questions. I'm going to try, at least for the beginning of the year, to do these with you in class, because now 8th graders, everyone has a laptop. This is the first year 8th graders have had laptops, by the way. And I'm going to make this kind of like a warm-up or a closing activity, depending on the time. And you'll actually answer these 5 questions silently in class, and you'll check it, and you'll email it to me, etc. and etc. Okay, so I just showed you where those are, because they're every day. Okay, all resources. So let's click on the word more and see what it is. It's Math Forum and a couple of things, and I really don't use that, but I just wanted you to know that that's there. I haven't used the Geometer's Sketchpad yet. Tools I really haven't used, but here's where I really want to go, tutors. And in Algebra 1, I don't think they've done this yet in the other books. They have personal tutors both in English and in Spanish. They're the same ones, just duplicated in Spanish. The personal tutors are wonderful. The issue that some students have with it, I'm going to open one right now, is that they're pretty dry and pretty boring. I'm going to open up the total window. But I don't think what students realized last year is A, how good they are, but B, is that they can drag down here, and you don't have to listen to Mr. Rutherford. You can just watch Mr. Rutherford doing the problem, drag it quickly, and you're done. Okay, I'm going to hit escape to get out of the screen. If you hover, it'll tell you what it's on. So this one is writing and evaluating expressions. This one is evaluating expression. Let's just click on this one, open. And see one more time, if you're plugging and chugging here, you don't have to listen to Mr. Hardesty. You can just drag Mr. Hardesty doing the problem and go, oh, I get it, I'm done. Escape. Okay, going back to all resources. And again, they're also in Spanish, and even if you're not a Spanish speaker as your first language, a lot of you are taking Spanish, so it might be a great thing to start listening to some of these in Spanish. The more you immerse yourself, the better off you will be. Vocab is just a glossary, and let's click on worksheets. Worksheets, there's 3 categories for most, not all. There's definitely 2. Editable worksheets will give you it in Word, when you'll see it says DocX. The same worksheet is also PDF version. So if I click on a PDF right now, the PDFs are online, and then you can also download them in PDF. This is one of Mrs. Nelson and our favorite study guide and intervention ones, because what it does is it gives you 2 examples worked out, and then gives you problems, and gives you at the very, very top, you know, the general concept of that lesson, which we absolutely love, and a lot of times we'll just print those out for you in class. Not all lessons have the bottom one, Quick Review Math Handbook, and I want to click on this to show it to you. If the lesson really is based on a prior skill set from 7th grade, for instance, there'll be something called hot topics. Quick review it says here, but up here it'll say hot topics. So like the hot topics is integer operations. We don't do that in Algebra 1, but if you don't know that, that would be a huge issue in order of operations. So I'm going to open this resource and show you what it is. When it loads, it tells you that it's 6 pages, and it'll go over how to add and subtract integers, and it will review concepts that are not in Algebra 1 at all, because it's a prior knowledge skill. So whenever that's true of a lesson, I'm just clicking out of everything, by the way, it'll include that. Otherwise, all resources, for instance, let me go to chapter, just so you know, chapter 8, and which is fast forwarding, right? And let me go to lesson 8-7, which is doing something called factoring quadratics. If I go to worksheets now, look, I've got the PDF and the editable, but what you don't see are the hot topics, because when you get to these elevated lessons, a lot of times there's no prior skills, everything is brand new. But if I go to chapter 8-1, adding and subtracting polynomials, and I go to worksheets, all of a sudden there is a quick review again, because the hot topic is just simplifying regular expressions before we get to polynomials. Okay, I'm going to just go back to menu. I'm going to go back to resources, the top level. I'm going to go back to chapter 1, and I'm going to go all the way down below all the lessons now, algebra students, to review and assess the chapter. So now I'm clicking on review and assess the chapter. So now there are some calculator things. It's the TI Inspire, which we'll get to. It's too early in the year so far to do this. But I'm going to click on the word check. Now, when you do this in the review and assess the chapter at the bottom of every chapter, which again, you will have to do these, I will assign them. There are two, left and right. On the left side is a chapter test. I record it the same way. I record it in assessments, and you get 1 to 10 points depending on your score. The chapter tests are longer than self-checks. They're generally anywhere from 16 to 20 questions. They're still multiple choice. You can still check it at the bottom and keep going. You should keep trying it. You'll get different problems. Sometimes they're just reorganized in a different way until you get at least 80%, and then you submit it. Again, this goes in your assessment grade, and you get 1 to 10 points. If I go back to this, the one on the right, let's click on that, standardized test practice, which helps you for the CASP. Here it says chapter 1, and let's see how many. Usually these are 20 questions, and you get 1 out of 10 points again, and you have to submit again. I'm going to go back to resources, and I'm going to change from chapter 1, because the confusion last year with standardized test practice was that once you're beyond chapter 1, it's cumulative. It goes chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4. So let's just go back to chapter 8, my favorite, quadratics. So now watch as I go to review and assess the chapter, and I click on the word check again. Okay, so I click on the word check again, and there's my chapter 8 test. Watch, it just says chapter 8. But now watch what happens when I click on standardized test practice. It's now chapters 1 all the way through chapter 8. It's cumulative. The issue last year was kids were thinking it meant chapter 1, lesson 8, and they kept saying, why haven't you given me credit for this? And I kept saying, you're not doing the right thing. It's not a self-check, it's the standardized test practice, and 1-8 does not mean chapter 1, lesson 8. It means chapters 1 all the way through 8. Okay, so hopefully me going over that during the tour this year will solve that huge issue we had last year. So let me go back to chapter 1 again, which is your first chapter. Let me go back to review and assess the chapter and see if there's anything else here. We talked about that. Let's click on more. When we click on more, again, there's some interactive student things to do. We may or may not get to those. I just wanted to show you that. Go back to all resources, and let's go to watch. Okay, I'm going to watch, and I'm opening this up. Look at what this is. This is a vocab check, and it'll give you examples of things to put in. So it's a kind of good way, and it says check, try again, show me. So it's a little check online. Let's go to chapter 2, and let's go to assess the chapter, and let's go to watch. And let's go open, and again it'll be a vocab quiz, and there it is again. This is actually brand new. This wasn't here last year, so it's kind of cool as they add more and more things. Let's go to worksheets in the chapter review. And so there's a study guide notebook page to tie everything through. Let's go open that. And it's a flow chart basically of that we may or may not use, but you may want to use it to organize your notes, okay? And then if I go to before the test, let's go open this resource, and this is new too, by the way. Before the test, this is what I know, this is what I want to find out, this is what I've learned, and it's kind of a checklist of studying. It's supposed to help you study for the test, but I give you practice tests too. You'll see that in my other video, which is my website video. So let me go to all resources again, and that is it, Algebra Kids, for the student portal. Make sure you also watch the video on my own website. I'll see you in class.